It's Sunday morning, you're there for church service, and suddenly somebody waving a weapon or perhaps firing a weapon bursts in through the doors. What do you do? SkyWatch TV News for Thursday, August 27th. I'm Derek Gilbert. Our guest in studio as we get ready for September, which is National Preparedness Month, is the author of a new book that you should have in your reference library. It's called Be Thou Prepared. It's by the national best-selling author Carl Gallups. Carl, welcome.
Thank you, Derek. It's good to be here.
This is a topic that I think a lot of people will get emotional on both sides
Sure.
of the issue.
Sure.
There are those who would immediately say that we as Christians should defend our own, defend our families, defend our colleagues in a church setting. There are others who would say that a church is just an inappropriate place, regardless of how you feel about handguns, weapons, that a church is an inappropriate place to have them.
Yeah.
You have a law enforcement background,
Yes.
besides your career as a pastor.
Yes.
Where do you stand on this issue?
Yeah, thank you. Now, I was a Florida law enforcement officer in 2 different sheriff's offices for years, a patrol officer, and did criminal investigations, and I've been in the ministry for over 30 years, pastoring churches, or a church. I've been in one church for 29 years. And we do have a security ministry team there. And so you're right, this can be an emotional issue. It shouldn't be. Listen, we have a basic responsibility to provide for just the basic expected security of those who come to our churches. I mean, if somebody comes to your church and they're visiting, let's say, looking for a church family, and some horrendous thing happens. Now, statistically, at this point in our national life, these things do happen, but it won't happen to your church, statistically. But they do happen, and they are increasing.
Right. We had that recent tragic case in Charleston, South Carolina.
Exactly.
Yep.
See, one out of many, tens of thousands of churches. So statistically, it won't happen to your church. But look, we need to be prepared for the probability, because experts that research these things and keep these statistics tell us, look, this stuff is on the rise and has the potential to even be even more frequent because of the societal changes we're going through. So what I tell churches is, look, so you've got somebody visiting your church family, and the next thing you know, some horrendous thing like that happens. And then it's discovered afterwards that you had zero security preparations. They have a reasonable expectation of some type of security. And that doesn't mean you have a lawful expectation necessarily of having an armed guard service, but to have nothing, nobody watching, nobody even prepared, no protocol, no plan at all. If it just happens, it happens. Everybody fend for themselves. And sadly, a lot of churches are kind of at that point. Now churches are beginning to rise up and take note nowadays.
Yeah.
But I tell people, look, you don't have to come at this emotional. There's all kinds of ways to handle this. With the electronic surveillance equipment we have now, video surveillance, video protection, strobe lights, panic buttons that can be in the children's department, the youth department, in various high strike potential areas. There are all kinds of things. Plus, almost every church has somebody in it that's in law enforcement or has been in law enforcement, who's trained, who knows how to have a weapon concealed legally and to use it in a worst case scenario. And that's what we always say. We pray we never have to. But good gracious, if you're there with your precious family and your children, and this happens, people that are targeting churches, they will look for areas that they think are gun-free zones. They look for areas that they think are sitting ducks, and churches often are.
Well, and that's, I think, one of the lessons that we took from this case in Charleston, South Carolina. As I understand the story, the young man was able to walk in, first time there, wasn't challenged, wasn't questioned, and I think that speaks to the love and acceptance that he received.
And most churches would be like that.
Exactly. But he knew that he was not going to face armed resistance as he sat there for an hour at a Bible study before he opened fire. How might things have been different if he had gone into the situation thinking that maybe somebody there might have a weapon to resist and put up a fight?
Exactly. Excellent question, and a great way to pose it. First of all, in that situation, the state law forbids the possession of concealed weapons in churches. See, they have certain areas. In other words, you can have a concealed weapons permit, but they're not allowed in churches. It's a gun-free zone. So
he
the
knew
shooter
going in.
knew it. He reloaded, think of this, Derek, 5 times a .45 automatic handgun. Reloaded, emptied the clip into people, dropped the clip, reloaded again, did that 5 times, and the people could do nothing. They cowered in fear and waited for their bullet. Now, So I always tell folks, that I'm speaking as a cop and as a pastor, having the presence of firearms concealed, nobody should know. I mean, you come to my church, for example, we've got an amazing security ministry in our church. But if you're a regular worshiper, an attender, a visitor, you don't know that. There's not a sense that you're in a police state. You're in church. And it's an exciting, vibrant, loving, peaceful, powerful church. But we're not sitting ducks. And that's all I'm going to say on a nationally broadcast show.
Sure.
But we're not sitting ducks. And the thing about it is that what the difference is that having a security ministry with whatever security measures you have in place, and they can be multitudinous, but it doesn't guarantee that you'll never be attacked. It doesn't guarantee that no one will ever be hurt. If you're in my church, you'll never be hurt. No. That's ridiculous to think. It doesn't mean someone might not get killed. It doesn't mean that several someones might not get killed in a worst case scenario, but it does mean you have a fighting chance. You're not sitting there waiting for somebody for your bullet. You're not a sitting duck. And it does mean that you have an opportunity to defend yourself, your children, your loved ones in that scenario. And that's the whole point of being prepared, thinking about security. It's not so that nothing bad will ever happen. Or if something bad happens, I'll always win. No, it's, look, I want to be prepared so that I'm not helpless. I'm not a sitting duck, and the innocent people around me are not either. That's the mindset.
Yeah. I guess I have to ask this question because in the Bible we're told that we are to love our enemies. We're to turn the other cheek. When someone strikes us, we're to turn the other cheek, let them strike us again. How do we square that scripture with with the idea of being prepared?
No, it's a brilliant question. I'm asked it all the time. I address it in my book. The bottom line is context. The context of Jesus speaking that was not, and I give this scenario. So the Christian that says, well, we just need to turn the other cheek, I say to them, really? So tonight at 3 o'clock in the morning, you hear a big boom and you realize your front door's been kicked down. And a couple guys walk in with baseball bats and machetes, and they're walking down the hall to your little children's room, and they say to you, you stay here, we're going to do whatever we want to your children. And you say to them, you know what, I'm a Christian, I'm going to turn my other cheek. I don't think any Christian would say, what are you going to do? You're going to defend your family. The turn the other cheek, the context of that means, look, in the day-to-day living of life, Christians should not be bowed up and looking for a fight. Christians should look for every opportunity to show grace and mercy. Christians should look for every opportunity to advance the kingdom. That's why it says, look, if you're asked to walk a mile, walk another mile if you can. If you need to ask to give your shirt, give your coat if you can. You know, just display the love of God and the love of Christ wherever you can. But that passage was not a blanket statement of just let the world do to you what they want to. If that were the case, every Christian would have been dead thousands of years ago.
Well, yeah, the Jewish ruling authorities, the
Roman Empire
Sanhedrin
itself,
and the Roman Empire were pretty aggressive in the first century. Yeah.
The same culture in which Jesus was speaking would have annihilated all of them. So the context is not just roll over and let the world do anything it wants to. The context is in the day-to-day living of life, under normal, sane consequences, do your best to go that extra mile rather than looking for vengeance. Show mercy. But on the other hand, it is your responsibility to protect the innocent around you, and first and foremost, your own family and children. So I'm a pastor. I consider the church to kind of be my family and my responsibility, you know, the shepherd and the sheep, if you will. I mean, I'm the shepherd of that flock. And so I get my leaders around me. We have meetings. We develop security protocol. Then we inform the church. We let them know how they can be a part of that whole thing and the reasonable expectations they have. Then we get on with life, but we're prepared.
Yeah. Carl, where do people find a copy of Be Thou Prepared?
Yeah. Find it at Amazon.com. You find it at Gallups.com. You can find it anywhere good books are sold. Yep. It's published by WND Books out of Washington, D.C. And we get more into the topic of preparedness during September. The month of September is National Preparedness Month. Carl Gallups will be a guest on a couple of programs during the month of September, and you'll hear more about the book Be Thou Prepared in September. Don't forget, this coming Tuesday, we begin that series of broadcasts with Josh Tolley. It's on the Christian Television Network Tuesday night. 8:30 p.m. Central Time, DirecTV Channel 376, Dish Network Channel 267, the Glory Star Satellite Channel 117. Again, Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m., the first of our series of programs devoted to preparedness during National Preparedness Month on SkyWatch TV. Thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.